I recently elected to take a 6-day break from climbing, which I have never ever done in my 4 years of climbing. The most I ever taken off was 2 days, and it was definitely not by choice. I am the type to show up at the gym just to find it closed because it was a holiday day and I don't keep track of dates because I don't ever celebrate. But however, so I always wanted to experience this thing called rest, and a long rest at that, because curiosity. What will happen and what can I possibly gain or garner from this fun little experiment of experiencing something I've never experienced before? Cool. Now, I do hope you understand the type of consistency that I hold myself to. And you may be wondering, why am I so obsessed with this particularly perfect record of consistency? Well, inside my head, the formula goes something like this. If you never stop doing it, something good will happen. And this formula has worked 100% of the time. The only time it has not worked is when I failed it, but it has never failed me. But now I have forced myself to sit down for 6 days and do zero physical activity except for a little bit of stretching and see what befalls me. Here we go. Tattoos. I don't think you guys know this, but I do a little bit of tattooing because with all my newfound ticks of time, I have enough currency to allocate it to this fun little side hobby that I don't really even like doing that much. From the designing to the stenciling to the stabby, I've been tattooing a lot lately. And again, I don't even like drawing or art that much because there's a time in my life where I would draw for 5 to 6 hours a day every day for about 3 years straight, hoping to break into the art industry, but that never panned out for personal reasons. So the residual art still pitter-patters on my shoulders like a bittersweet reminder of how I tried so hard and got so not that far, honestly. But oh Lord, man, am I ever so bored? Damn, out my mind. And for like the first 3 days of this rest, I don't know what it was, but my fingers were like in pain for about 1 to 2 minutes a day every day. I'm gonna say it's because they were overly stiff from an under movement of them that I've been used to. And frankly speaking, I wake up with them and they feel stiff, and they also feel thinner and smaller and weaker, but that might just be placebo. And I also feel like I can't think. Anyways, here's what happened on my first day back. It was pretty horrible. It felt like I was climbing with 25 pounds on my body the entire time. Normally speaking, I can lock off just fine on literally any junk. On this day, it felt like my body is just cranking my arm open the whole time and I could not lock off for the life of me. I had planned to do some hangboarding and a home wall session, as was my previous training protocol, but that did not happen. I was particularly so weak that I didn't see the point in hangboarding, and the home wall session was not going to happen because my stamina and my skin was just not up to par. If I could normally climb and train for about 6 hours, it was drastically cut down to 2 hours, and it wasn't even a great 2 hours because if I could normally project V8 particularly well in one day, I was struggling on V2s this day. Everything felt incredibly heavy. Back to my skin. My skin has never felt like this in like over a millennium. Because I rested for 6 days, you would think my skin is great, but it was incredibly weak and soft, and every time I put my hands on a hold, it kind of felt like I was cheese grating my skin off, even though I had an abundance of skin from all the resting. I never once used the word fire to describe the sensation of my fingertips, but that's what it kind of felt like towards the latter end of the session. And also my calluses on my hands, they haven't felt pain in like over a millennium, because when I was holding the down climbing jugs, just down climbing, I feel pain in my callus, and I was like, huh, how interesting. It's like I'm starting all over again. My elbows, my shoulders, my fingers, everything felt prone to injury. I don't think I've ever felt so vulnerable ever when it come to climbing. Like I did some shoulder moves and I was like, ouch, my shoulders. This is odd. What an interesting feeling. I'm not here to say I have iron tight shoulders, but normally I don't feel this vulnerable. It's the best way I can put it. My finger post climbing session, they hurt. Like not sore or stiff, but they actually internally hurt a bit. It's not too bad, but it's definitely a new sensation. It didn't last that long, but new sensation. But now I do believe I made some major mistakes when it came to my first actual break ever. First off, I think I break too long. 6 days was way too long for someone who wasn't used to it. I think I would have sufficed at around 3 to 4 days. In addition, I think adding in a 1 light climbing day in between those 3 to 4 days of rest would have been really good just to maintain my strength and to keep me sane. And lastly, I would like to mention that I do understand that the first day back from a long break is absolutely atrocious and that the preceding days will get better, and I do hope so. But now let's talk about something else. But it's probably because of the way I view training and climbing as more of a skill than a strength than anything, that's a big reason why I'm consistent, because with a skill, you can always train it regardless of your physicality. Kind of like chess is how I view it. And if you're making progress with your current training regimen, one of the worst things you can do is change it. And I was making progress with my current training regimen, evident of the PR I just had before I went into my rest break, and my body was feeling fine and dandy. I feel like I could have kept fit up. And I guess I do have a particular issue because my progress has never been so backed down up into a corner to the point where the only resulting solution was rest. And this isn't to say I don't rest at all. I definitely do. One day on, one day off. And you might be asking yourself, but what about cumulative fatigue? Surely that's gonna build up on you and hit you out of nowhere. Well, here's how I like to view it in my regards. Listen, on days where I feel awesome, I do awesome stuff. On days where I don't feel awesome, I do less awesome stuff. Meaning I basically just manage my fatigue on a day-to-day basis and my prowess on a day-to-day basis. Now, if I frame it this way, it's gonna look a lot better. For example, I climb one day off, one day on, which means there's 2 rest days in between every working day. Now, let's say I go on a day where I feel particularly weak. You can simply view that as a deload day where I work at a capacity of 50 to 70%. And then if I frame it as a 3-day rest or 1 minor workout in, most people will look at that and be like, oh wow, he rests a lot. But if I frame it as I work out every other day, you might think he never really truly lets his body rest. And because I micromanage instinctually low my resting times this way, I've never had a problem with recovery. I would say my training style is akin to marathoners who basically run every single day, but not every single day is a hard run. Kind of like that. And when I train, I do my hangboarding, I do my climbing, then I do my home wall session, then I do my general strength training session at the end of the day. A lot of people will look at that and be like, wow, that's so much training, you're overtraining, etc., etc. But I assure you, all of this, it is very relaxing to me. Just total leisure and relaxation for me, honestly. And again, the second I feel like my body can't handle the load, I'll just drop it down, or I'll eliminate sets, or I'll cut my session short. There have been times where I walked into the gym after warming up, I felt horrible. I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go home. Now that hasn't happened in a very long time though. And again, I cannot stress how relaxing it is for me to do all of this training. It's like this right here is my pillow. I don't even sleep with pillows. This right here is my blanket. And this is my air conditioner. It's all just so relaxing for me. Honestly, you know, I used to be a very disciplined person when it came to working out. Then I found climbing and I shifted. I then became a very enjoying person, one would say. Self-indulgent, I guess is the better word. And I just like to indulge in climbing like activities. But like with any indulgent, if I go overboard, I always stop because, you know, too much of anything is typically bad. But regardless, I just wanted to try this fun little experiment to see what happened. Again, it's only been my first day back, so it's too early to tell of any great results, nor is it possible to tell that I would have garnered similar results in like 2 or 3 weeks if I didn't have this rest break, because now that's impossible to do. But honestly speaking, I don't think I needed this rest break at all because there was no signs of cumulative fatigue. For example, injuries is a sign that you are overtraining, and I haven't been injured in over a millennium, and in fact my body is more durable and stronger than ever, except for today because I rested so long. Or getting sick, I generally speaking just don't get sick that much. My immune system's pretty top notch if I do say so myself. Or inability to recover, but my recovery's been just fine, evident of the PR I just recently hit before I enter my rest break. And in fact, if my skin never got bad, I could climb and train much longer than what I typically already do. The main reason why I stopped my training is never because of fatigue, because my work capacity is ridiculously high. No, I typically stop my climbing training or my climbing because I just simply get bored of climbing after like 6 hours. That, or because my fingers hurt in a flesh wound type of way, like cheese grater type of way, you know, like no skin. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, partner.